Irish citizens in the north of Ireland can stand for the presidential election, they can win the presidential election, they can be the President of Ireland, but they still can't vote in that presidential election. I'm delighted to be able to introduce the 39th Amendment to the Constitution. The purpose of the Aontú Bill is to ensure that all adult citizens living in Ireland, north and south, are entitled to vote in relation to the presidential election. I think this is a really, really important bill. It's a great opportunity for this House to be able to make this change, and I would really encourage all the political parties to get behind this in a cross-party manner. I think it's also important that we have the presidential election coming up very shortly in October. It's not likely we'll be able to get a referendum done and dusted before that happens, but it could be even possible to hold a referendum on the day of the presidential election to make sure that all subsequent presidential elections are actually reflective of all citizens in Ireland's north and south. Incredibly and shockingly, Irish citizens in the north of Ireland can stand for the presidential election, they can win the presidential election, they can be the President of Ireland, but they still can't vote in that presidential election, which is quite incredible. And Mary McAleese was a very strong example of that contradiction that lies at the heart of our political system in relation to that. The second thing I would say is, imagine the sheer joy that would exist amongst Northern nationalists if, for the very first time, that they could share equally in the democratic process of this country for the first time since 1918. It would be a phenomenal opportunity for the people of the north of Ireland to be able to do that. I believe that most political parties have stated at some stage that they actually support this particular project, that the Citizens' Assembly has voted in support of this particular project. So what's stopping us doing this? It's not up to Westminster to make this decision. Westminster has no say over this. Stormont doesn't have a say in this. The only body of people that actually has a say over whether or not this progresses is this particular chamber, first and foremost. So right now we are withholding the right to vote to Irish citizens in the north of Ireland, 700,000 Irish citizens in the north of Ireland. The majority of parties here say they support it. The majority of MLAs in the north say they support it, and opinion polls say the majority of people in this jurisdiction say that they support it. I think the reasons why it's not happening, I think it's because of narrow political self-interest. And I think some parties are putting narrow self-interest ahead of bigger objectives. It has been said that maybe Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael don't want to see 700,000 Northern nationalists voting in a presidential election, potentially because they don't function in the north of Ireland. Both are regional political parties and don't have representatives or organisation operating in the north of Ireland.